Hello, my name is Pat Tracy. I'm going to give you a presentation about performance-enhancing drugs in sport. And my stance is performance-enhancing drugs should be banned and considered unethical because of the potential side effects they have on the athlete on and off the court. Preview, basically I'm going to go through the state of sport right now, basis and progression. Then I'll talk about performance-enhancing drugs, the history, current state, and notable causes. And then I'll go through my major points of health side effects, the impact on youth sports, cohesion, overuse, and then conclusion. Basically, same thing. Point of emphasis, health side effects, short-term, long-term, negative influence on the athletes for the youth as role models, and then risk of coercion and overuse. So basically, based on sport, I have a quote from an article, academic article by Kufer in 1978. He describes art as sport is like an art in being purposeful but without external purpose. We engage in the activity or its viewing for its own sake. Basically, sport is something that allows us to be free, but also have some constructs to basically funnel our play. It allows us to get out of our routine, allows us to interact with others, and also improve our wellness by being physically active. Basically, sport has evolved from amateurism to industry. You can see it with television deals. It's principal media. Sport is, there's television networks just for sports, ESPN, NFL Network. Sport functions as collective identification. So basically, merchandise, anyone that wears jerseys or T-shirts that say Western Michigan football or Detroit Lions or that kind of thing is showing that they're a part of that collective group and identifying with it. Also, it provides meaning to many. So like people like myself who are coaches that spend the majority of their life towards sport. Sport has now evolved to that point where it can provide people with incomes and also meaning for who they are. Current state of sport. Our book discusses winning at all costs. There's a lot of pressure to win in our society. You can see it throughout youth sports, high school, college, and professional sports. A lot of external rewards are related to it, and also external costs. So youth sports, you can see AAU teams, parents traveling around the world. Actually, I think a story just broke about it. Adidas paying athletes to go to a certain college so that they'd have a jump on them for future opportunities to get them to be sponsors. But total side note, also parents' influence of they want their kid to be the best. They might influence their kid or try and pressure them to take steroids. Sounds crazy, but I couldn't find the exact article, but there's always a possibility. Like Open by Andre Agassi discusses how his dad made him play tennis ridiculous amount of hours, and they shipped him off and made him do youthful things just to be the best in the world. So drove him away from tennis almost. Collegiate influences other scholarships. There's 85 football scholarships, which is a ton, giving people opportunities to go to school, but also there's that external pressure and external rewards for being good at their sport. March Madness is a college basketball tournament that's worth $900 million last year and had $9 billion in wagers. Professional sports, athlete contract. Their Stanton's contract right now. He's a baseball player for the Yankees. $325 million. It's a massive deal. And then also you can see it in fantasy football, a sport where you try and guess what athletes' stats are going to be and try and have the most on your team to win. So it's even a sport or a competition outside of sport for that. The definition of performance-enhancing drugs, I have two here. I went to Merriam-Webster in the textbook, so I'm going to go through both these. A substance that Merriam-Webster describes as a substance that is used illicitly to improve athletic performance, such as anabolic steroid, human growth hormone, or I've been practicing all day, but I can't get it, erythropoietin. And then the textbook defines it as performance-enhancing substance are taken for the strict purpose for providing a competitive advantage, which is often considered unfair. A little bit of history. I won't go through all these, but you can see they've been used since the original Olympic Games, steroid or performance-enhancing drugs. You can see it also throughout the Olympics. They started testing in 1968, right after, not after World War II, but prior, once the Olympics started picking back up again. You can see multiple athlete. Ben Johnson's been stripped of his gold medal because of drug testing, and then Reagan signs that law that prohibits the sale of performance-enhancing drugs. Also, there's the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, which started 2000. It's been going ever since. And then here's some notable cases of it. So Barry Bonds, all-time leader in home runs. He's admitted to using steroids. Lance Armstrong, one of the most successful cyclists in the world. He took human growth hormone. Marion Jones, she was a sprinter, very popular. She was stripped of her gold medal, took steroids. And then Lyle Alonso, you probably haven't heard of him, but he dies from brain cancer. He took steroids, and it's said that taking steroids, his cancer was a side effect of taking steroids. Recent cases of performance-enhancing drugs. Julian Edelman, he suspended 4 games this year for taking performance-enhancing drugs, coming back from a knee injury. Ricky Gerard, a CrossFit athlete, he's suspended right now for 4 years from CrossFit for taking steroids. He basically was stripped of $76,000, and he's not coming back to like early 2020s. And then what do performance-enhancing drugs do? Basically, it's used to increase a specific amount of hormone in the body to induce a better state for adaptation and performance, i.e. training, competition. I go through them all here. Speed and strength usually is human growth hormone. So you see that with football, powerlifting, throwing, or also like CrossFit, that kind of thing. Reduce heart rate and steady nerves, beta blockers. That's seen in like archery. Increase oxygen carry capacity in blood. You can see that in runners to lose weight or weigh-in. That's for basically boxers, MMA fighters, wrestlers, anyone that has a weight class. Powerlifters too, maybe. And then also, ultimately, substances are taken to allow the athlete to train longer, more intensely, and reach higher levels of achievement. That is from our textbook. Short-term side effects of performance-enhancing drugs. I'm not gonna say all these, but you can see here severe acne, high blood pressure, a lot of stuff with the heart affected, cholesterol. The tendons are a little bit more at risk because the muscles are producing more force than the tendon can grow with, I should say. Psychologically, you'll see a lot of aggressive behavior, rage, violence, just because of the hormonal imbalance, which puts themselves and others at risk. Indirect risk of taking steroids, infections and disease such as HIV and hepatitis from injecting. That's if you use a dirty needle or don't know how to use clean needles. Here's some men and women short-term side effects. Basically, you flip the gender role, not gender, sexes, and they go towards some men grow breasts, become infertile, prostate gland enlargement, and then women actually deepen their voice, some male pattern baldness, and also become infertile, or can become infertile. Withdrawal, certain withdrawal symptoms are mood swings, fatigue, restlessness, loss of appetite, sleep problems, decreased sex drive, steroid cravings. Basically, the individual becomes they need the hormones become imbalanced again because they've lost the hormones that are coming in. So they're trying to balance it out. Long-term side effects, I'm not going to go through all of them, but addiction, depression, also liver damage, abnormalities, tumors, kidney problems. Men also infertile or permanent infertility, same with women. And then also teens who take it, stunted growth, if they take it before their growth spurt, and cause the bones to stop growing because of the the large hormones in their system. Basically, my second point, talking about youth, young athletes are more susceptible to influence by their role models as athletes, coaches, parents, and community. You can see this in Erickson's developmental model. He discusses the different levels where the brain is developing, and where an individual's either trying to figure out who they are, how they fit, how they interact with others. There's different stages. But parents and community have a great influence on the youth and also their teammates, or the best athletes. The best athletes are doing steroids. they might feel the youth might feel like they have to do it in order to reach the level of their role model or their hero, quote unquote. And our book discusses how elite athletes are role models. We also saw the YouTube video of Charles Barkley, how he's not a role model, but truly the platform that athletes have a strong influence on our athletes, our youth athletes. You can also see it through endorsements, social media, and association. So basically, shoe deals, video games. Our youth are wearing LeBron shoes or Jordans, that kind of stuff. Social media, all the followers our athletes have. Basically, they're totally accessible all the time, and their brand is always being broadcasted either through social media, regular media, or through games. And then you can also see their influence through association or imitation of our youth. Our youth imitate our professional athletes either with their gestures or how they play the game. Second point, definition of cohesion and overt use. I go through the definitions here. I've already filmed this once and I did not get through, so I'm going to make sure I get this done. So if you want to pause and read those, you can. Basically, coercion is forcing someone to do something they don't want to do, but they feel like they need to. So risk of coercion here, basically individuals might feel the disadvantage of not taking steroids, so they will take steroids. You can see that in the Mitchell report too, but fear of losing a starting spot, so they're in the high school team and the guy behind them is playing, taking steroids, and they're they feel like they're going to lose their starting spot because that athlete's getting that much better. So they will take steroids not because they want to, because they want to be better. Also fear of losing scholarship opportunity. It's sort of a hypothetical situation, or you can see it in the television show Friday Night Lights. Basically, an athlete, their star running back, takes steroids just so he can get the opportunity to get a scholarship. Basically, there's an article by Dodge, Stock, and Lit discusses this, how taking performance-enhancing drugs wasn't an analytical decision pathway. It's a reactive decision pathway. Basically, people were willing to take steroids because they wanted to react to other people doing it and survive and be good, not because it was a logical decision for them. In conclusion, overall performance-enhancing drugs hinder the short-term, long-term health side effects, can have a negative influence on our youth, and also has a higher risk of coercion overuse for athletes at the high school, collegiate, and professional level. My discussion questions are, would you take performance-enhancing drugs? Would you take them if you knew you would be the best, but it would either lead to you having cancer or not having children? And then would your answer be the same when you were a child? So basically back in the day. And then second question, who do you think it most likely influence to take steroids, meaning the level of competition, male or female, individual or team sport? Why do you think that? And then also, these are my references. If you have any questions, feel free to post questions in the discussion forum. Thank you and enjoy the day.